Have you ever had one of those days where you're dragging by 2 p.m., your focus is shot, and you're wondering if your third cup of coffee is even doing anything? What if the problem wasn't your energy, but your fuel source? See, most people eat in a way that actively drains their energy. They spike their blood sugar in the morning, they crash by noon, and then they wonder why their brain's in a fog. Today's episode, we're breaking down a new way of eating based off of ancient wisdom and modern science to keep your mind sharp, your body lean, and your energy high from the moment you wake up to the moment your head hits the pillows. Welcome to Get Leaner and Live Longer with Nate Palmer, the show for busy people who want to maximize energy, burn fat, and build a body that feels as good as it looks. I'm your host, Nate. I've been a coach since 2008, and I believe looking great and feeling unstoppables does not require hours in the gym or giving up foods you love. This show is where I share real strategies to help you get leaner, live longer, and unlock your $1 million body, one habit, one meal, and one workout at a time. So if you're ready to cut through the noise, take control of your health, and finally feel like a high performer again, let's dive in. So I want to tell you about the way I finally realized that I ruined my kids in the best possible way. So we're at the grocery store and I'm standing in front of the baked goods because that's completely my weakness. And I'm staring down this absolute unit of an apple fritter. It's the size of like a catcher's mitt. And it's just glistening under those little pastry lights. I'm like so close to grabbing it and putting it in the cart. I'm with my daughter and she looks at me and goes, "Dad, how many grams of protein are in that donut?" And I was like, okay, who invited the macro police to my cheat meal? Come on. She didn't say to shame me though. She just wanted to know, which honestly is kind of worse. So I walked away from the fritter, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't let my legacy be the guy who preached protein and then folded for like $1.50 pastry. But it hit me like that most of us don't grow up thinking about food that way. I grew up in a weird, like natural organic household, but we still weren't like protein. We were drinking fruit smoothies for breakfast. We called it frosty fruit freezes, triple Fs. But most people think about food as either good or bad, clean or dirty, cheat day or meal prep. But the truth that no one told us is that food is not morality. Food is fuel, right? It's not there to punish us or to make us feel guilty. It's there to power us up. The real purpose of food is energy, to move, to think, to perform, recover. And when you treat it like fuel instead of like a fix, everything seems to change for the better. Your brain gets sharper, cravings get quieter, energy lasts longer. Feel like you stop living meal to meal and you start being just a bit more in control. You also start being really annoying at parties. So let me take you back a few years. I just started stacking clients in the early morning. I was training at a gym. So I'd get up, I'd slam a granola bar, protein bar, grab a banana because I thought I needed the fuel. And then by 10 a.m., I felt like I was running on fumes. So every day I would hit this wall. I started relying on caffeine. It's like lots and lots of caffeine. However many coffees or energy drinks I could get my hands on to push through this state. But it wasn't until I experimented with not eating, just water, and then having a shake with some proteins and fats that things started to change for the better. Suddenly I wasn't as tired anymore. I wasn't hungry. I felt like I was locked in. It felt a little weird at first, but I kind of get it now. Is that slight hunger is what we call an evolutionary superpower. And the reason I say that is because humans evolved to be hunters during the day. And when we are a little bit hungry, not like starving, not ravenous, but I don't think a lot of us in America have that issue right now. But when we're a little hungry, our sympathetic nervous system kicks in. So we get heightened senses, we get increased focus, and we get better reaction time. Your hand-eye coordination gets better. This is the exact opposite of what happens when you eat a Chipotle burrito and immediately want a nap. Eating early and eating carbs too soon flips the switch to relax mode, your parasympathetic nervous system. And that's great if your goal is to lay down and digest, chill on the couch, watch some Netflix. Not so great if you have a business to run or kids to chase around. So now I think of my mornings like a caveman on the hunt, a caveman that loves apple fritters. So I want to be focused. I want to be sharp. I want to be slightly hungry, but generally in control. I'm not being reactive. I'm not chasing energy. I'm not crushing 15 cups of coffee. And I also am not so hungry that I want to binge at lunch because I tried intermittent fasting for a while in there as well. And what happened was I felt great all morning, but then I was starving by lunchtime, would eat a massive meal, and then, 2 p.m. rolls around and I'm dead tired again. But let's dig into the blood sugar piece because this isn't just about discipline. It's not about caveman stuff. I'm not going to try to tell you preach an ancestral diet because I guarantee you, you put this apple fritter in front of a caveman, he is going to town on it. He's not going to tell any of his friends. He's just going to house that bad boy. So when you eat a high carb meal, your blood sugar rises rapidly. Your pancreas releases insulin to shuttle glucose into your cells. But what ends up happening is if you spike your blood sugar and then your insulin, it always, whatever goes up has to come back down. And usually it's pretty fast. So that crash, that drop, that decrease, it will tank your energy and it makes you crave more carbs. It also will activate stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to bring your blood sugar back up, which, by the way, if you're eating late at night, you're eating like right before you go to bed. This is what happens about midnight, 2 a.m. that causes us to wake up and be like, I'm awake. It's adrenaline. We're literally getting an adrenaline dump from a blood sugar decrease. So that's why you will often feel jittery, anxious, tired, or even hangry a few hours after breakfast if you're having the wrong foods at the wrong times. And there's nothing wrong with carbs. No one's ever been like, you ate too many strawberries, Daryl, you're getting too fat. We're going to have an intervention. But if you have them at the right times, it's even better. In a 2019 study published in Nature Metabolism, researchers found that people who experience larger post-meal blood sugar crashes felt 26% more tired and 9% less alert, were more likely to eat sooner, and consumed about 350 extra calories throughout the day. So that's like that's that vicious cycle. That's just decreasing your energy, making you eat more food, making you more tired. It puts you into a place where you can't really get out of it except by pulling all the way back out and kind of having a bad time. So what's the fix for this though? It's stable blood sugar. So this is usually achieved through high protein, high fat meals early in the day, and then delaying most of your carbs until either after activity or into the PM. This will keep your insulin low. This will keep your energy stable. And this is going to keep your body primed to burn fat instead of bouncing between blood sugar spikes and crashes. And the reason for that is that when you have carbohydrates coming in, your body will preferentially burn those as fuel. If you don't have carbohydrates, your body has to do something else to go get those carbohydrates. So it can either take protein and turn it into blood sugar through the process of gluconeogenesis, which is a very costly process on your body. It's not very energy efficient, or it'll pull some of your stored energy from your fat stores. So if you can do this and primarily consume all of your carbohydrates in the evening, you actually help increase your tryptophan levels. Those boost serotonin and melatonin, which means that you fall asleep faster, you sleep deeper, and you might have some weird dreams. Try to avoid the pepperoni pizza right before bed. Okay. So here's what this looks like in real life. So generally in the morning, especially here in Arizona, I always try to start with my day off with 2 glasses of water. So like 32 ounces of water. I don't feel like I can get hydrated well if I don't start my day like this. Even 1 glass of water seems like it wears off because I'm a sweaty human. But then what I'm having is a protein and a fat shake. So almond milk, protein powder, I use the whey, obviously peanut butter or avocado. If you're trying to go a little bit lower fat, or if you're gonna have a higher fat meal, like in the later part of the day, I would do a powdered peanut butter, like PB Fit or PB2, but no carbs, no fruit, no insulin spike. For the midday meal, your lunchtime-ish, have a light lunch. Protein and, I don't know if you want to call it fiber, you want to call it vegetables, you want to call it salad. So this is for me is like having chicken thighs and a bunch of baby carrots. 2 chicken thighs and a half pound of baby carrots is an amazing lunch. And I will fight anyone who tells me otherwise. Try it out. It's going to make you full without being overly full. It's going to keep you from craving food. You're not going to be snacking when you get home at 3:00, whatever. Another good option would be like chicken salad and an apple, some Greek yogurt with protein, maybe a few berries. I like apples, berries, oranges. They don't have those during the middle of the day. They're not super high in sugar. They're really low glycemic. They're not going to make you tired. Banana, pineapple, mango, those are higher glycemic fruits. And so I don't generally include those middle of the day or beginning of the day. Usually I'll put those at dinner. By the way, the best fruit salad you can possibly make, here's how it works. Mango, strawberries, sea salt on top. Boom. Okay, and then here's the pre and post workout. This is where we're going to get a lot of our fuel, a lot of our carbs. So adding in carbs with your protein. So think like oatmeal with berries, a protein shake with a banana. Even having like a couple slices of toast, like totally fine as long as you're having a protein source along with those carbohydrates. After a workout is a great time to have carbs because your body is more able to take those, break them down into glucose and put those into your muscles and your liver rather than storing them in fat. So just giving your body the opportunity to do what it needs to do and working with your physiology rather than against it. So many people work against their physiology because they don't understand the rules. So I'm trying to explain the rules here so you can choose to either follow the rules or you can choose to break the rules, but you can't do either one of those until you know the rules. So this is how it works from a physiological level. And no one ever taught me this. It wasn't until I started diving into the research that I even figured this out. So if you've never heard this before, like that's not your fault. This is just a unique way of looking at nutrition that doesn't involve shame, guilt, or even tracking to a certain extent. So dinners, this is like the feast time. So this is when I like to have potatoes, rice. Those are my two favorite types of carbs. Generally, I'll have some roasted vegetables because I don't like boiled vegetables. Well, like, why would you do that? Just put them in the oven or air fryer. Steak, fish, chicken. Carbs at night are great because it helps you recover and it aids in your sleep. It'll help you slow down, decrease, get your energy low, and then you can shift right into a parasympathetic nervous system dominance. So you're going to feel a lot better. And if you need a little bit of an evening snack, I do a Greek yogurt treat. So basically I'll just take like a Greek yogurt and plain Greek yogurt and I'll put a little protein in it and I'll whip that up and throw some berries on top. That's a good option. I also been eating this Premier Protein cereal, which has been fantastic. I have that and I use the Premier Protein shake as milk. I basically can get 50 grams of protein after dinner. So it's kind of nice. Plus it's eating cereal and I like cereal. So if you're struggling with low energy, you're struggling with constant cravings, you're dealing with stubborn belly fat that won't move, the fix might not be another supplement. It might be a better fuel strategy. It might not be doing marathon workouts. It might be just tweaking the way you think about nutrition. So thinking about during the day, if you have a lot going on, if you're doing podcasting, if you're in and out of meetings, you've got kid stuff, you have a lot on your plate, eat light to hunt. And then you feast to recover. Use your body's evolution and chemistry to get the results you want instead of fighting against them. Okay. If you want to feel what real energy feels like, what I would do first is start with a 5-day sugar detox. It is the fastest way to reset your system, stabilize your blood sugar, and break free of the spike crash cycle. Links in the show notes, but just go to thefreesugardetox.com if you can grab that there. Thefreesugardetox.com to get that. This is the first step of 6 in what I think of energy first fat loss. And the reason I call it that is because, well, number one, I called it for a while glycogen priming, which nobody knows what that is. But if you look it up on Google, I'm the only one talking about it. So it's got my face on it. So that's kind of cool. But energy first fat loss is the idea that we use our fat loss to fuel our energy rather than detracting from our energy to get results at all costs, which never works. It never sticks around. Did you know that the biggest loser, these people who are losing hundreds of pounds, getting amazing results, getting clapped for their body transformations on national TV, has a 100% recidivism rate? 100% of the time, they fall back to the bad habits and they regain their weight. 100%. That's insane because they're working their asses off, literally and figuratively, but they are doing it in a way that does not align with their body's physiology and would require them to basically work out for 2 hours a day and eat 1,200 calories for the rest of their life. And ain't nobody got time for that. So start with the 5-day sugar detox. Start unlocking the secrets of energy first fat loss. Thefreesugardetox.com. And as for me and the apple fritter, it is still there waiting for me. One day I might go back for it. But if I do, I'm going to throw it in the blender with 50 grams of protein. And if I'm going down, it's going to be anabolic. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening.